Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central Time, as we get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You can find us on the good old-fashioned radio, and that's icradio.media, where we are Fox News affiliates. You can find us there. You can also find us on all the social media sites. You just can't get away from me if you tried. Yeah. You can also find us on the television. That's Channel 182 Charter. And then we are syndicated on Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. Continue sending emails, by the way. Really makes my day. And you're the reason we have this show. So this is what I value your suggestions. Anything you would like for me to do a little research for you, I'll be glad to do that. I'm the original geek. And love hanging out at libraries and all. He couldn't believe I got quietest in Who's Who. Yeah. But I'm still quiet. But I only get active when I'm around you. So again, thank you so much for making my day and making my life. Definitely appreciate that. I have my good friend Phillip Gilliland with me right now, and he's with American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches. And we go to his church. It's in Woodville. Yes. Explain to people where Woodville is.
Woodville is about halfway between Scottsboro and Huntsville on Highway 72, the main highway. So it's a little town, but it's a neat little place, and we have a beautiful place that we were blessed with there. So it's a fun place to be. I live right up on the mountain in Grant, but it's just off of the mountain from Grant right there.
So not far from Scottsboro. We even come in from Geraldine, Alabama, so that's yeah. But it's worth the drive.
How do y'all come when you come in? Do you come down by the river or?
No. Okay. We just go through. We've found a little shortcut, by the way, that takes you from Geraldine. You told us about it. Yeah. And so we take that little shortcut. We wind up going Scottsboro, kind of going around. But it's a beautiful scenic drive. So if you just need a little bit of peaceful time and you want to see beautiful country, I urge you come.
Oh, you go through Tenbrook. That's where you go.
Yeah.
And not many people would know where Tenbrook is unless you live in DeKalb County. But if you live in DeKalb County, you might know where Tenbrook is.
Also known as Chigger Hill. Yeah. So, and you do get chiggers there. Of course, I would pick them up probably here. If they're here, I'll get them.
Some people are, and that's the one thing, fleas, poison ivy, none of those things get me. But if I ever get where there's chiggers, they will get me. That's the one thing that'll get
me. Me too. Thank you again for being with us. Always glad to have Phillip on the show. A lot of you have sent questions about Cowboy Church. What's it all about? Do you ride horses down the aisle? I've heard a lot of that.
No.
Do we shoot, instead of saying amen, do we shoot guns?
No. It's more of a relaxed atmosphere of church. It's just church without carpet and church without stained glass windows, and it's church for the unchurched and without barriers. It's a church for people that don't really like churches because of all the barriers. So we figured out a way to take away the barriers, kind of like not passing the offering plate and other things that make up Cowboy Church. But there's probably not 25% of the people in Cowboy Church that even own a horse. Maybe 10% of them may own cattle. And I always thought that, when I got really to know a lot of the churches in Texas, I said, well, they'll be different than us. It's not any different than us. They're the same as us. They don't have many people that ride horses, but we do use the arena for outreach and chuck wagons for outreach, and man, it's a neat way because this past Friday night, this past Friday night we were there because we do a buck out on the first and third Friday night, and so a lot of these young boys, like my youngest one who's 14, we have steers that they get up, we flank them and they buck, and it's a hoot. I mean, they love it. To them, they're at the NFR riding to them. I mean, and so it is such a neat thing, and we've had some adults that got in on the action just so they could see what it was like. And so, one of the little girls she's ridden. Well, I won't say she's ridden. She has bucked out the last 2 Friday nights, and I've got tickled at her because she's tough as a pine knot, but she's bit the ground really hard the last 2 Friday nights, and I thought, well, she'll be discouraged. Well, she's not discouraged, but it's a fun thing, and one of the things and we'll do one more of those in October, and that's on the second Friday night that we do what we call the jam. And we have a bunch of guys that come in on Friday night just out of the mountains from any and everywhere. And they play music for 2 or 3 hours. And that is so much fun to go listen to because these guys never practice together. And they just know each other, and they know that on the second Friday night that we have the jam, and there'll be anywhere from 15 to 25 of them gather up, and they just take turns doing music, and they play together like they're just.
And the public's invited.
Oh, anybody come, and we have people from other churches that come to listen to that because it's so good.
It's a good clean date night.
Yeah, we make coffee and have donuts or cookies or something, and it's got to be a really neat. I really enjoy it, just coming and sitting and listening to these guys, and I've got to be friends with some of those guys that go to other churches, and man, the talent that it just blows me away. Because some of those people will play 3 or 4 different instruments, and they'll bring them all, and before the night's over, they may play them all. So it's a fun thing to me to see how we're blessed with so much to do. And I think that what's happened, and I'm not putting down traditional church, but I think you can fall into a rut, if that's okay to say. You do the same thing, you don't change up anything. And for us, we're constantly in the mode of change. But I like what we do with children and young people. We have those on Wednesday night. We cook for them every week, and we have some super good ladies that teach them, and that's a growing thing. That we led 21 of those kids to the Lord right before school started back, and it was just unbelievably good. We had what we call Warhorse Camp, and they stayed 2 nights there, and we just had a good time. We had Bible study, but we did have some fun, and we had more Bible study and then more fun, and they just had a blast, and I did too. I really enjoyed it. So Cowboy Church is a little different because we do a different style of music, and that's one thing that's kind of a moving target. Yeah. We don't settle in on any one kind of music, whether it be praise and worship or bluegrass gospel or southern gospel, but we'll do a little bit of all of it, and that kind of seems to work for us. And I talk to pastors and other churches, and they're kind of migrating more toward praise and worship, and that's fine. I like that kind of music, but I don't want to just do that kind of music because I think we'd miss a lot of the people, the older people in our church, and there's a fair number of my age group, and so I don't want to misput them. I don't want them to think they're not valuable to us in worship, but I think worship is the one time we can all come together and find something good in music. And of course, we've been blessed to have Leon. He's been with me since the first year of the church, and he and I have gone all over the place, and I've preached everywhere, and he's done music everywhere. So it's been a really good thing.
And he definitely has a talent.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Both the guys with the guitars.
Yeah. He can play banjo, guitar, a mandolin. He can play about anything except a fiddle. And there's a guy that comes, and I've really got to where I really like this guy. He comes to the jam session. His name's Jamie, and Jamie and I've got to be good friends. He plays, he plays the fiddle like
That's what I'm trying to do.
Oh, it is so good. If you ever heard him,
not the violin, the fiddle.
Yeah, the fiddle. But to hear Jamie sing too, he can. Oh my goodness! And when him and Leon start singing together, he makes Leon have to really work because Jamie has that high tenor voice, and Leon will have to really struggle. But to put them together, ooh, it's really good. It's really good.
I like all the music. I mean, every bit of it. But I love it when they throw in some of the older stuff.
Yeah,
some of the older hymns. I like those too, with a country twang to it.
Yeah, it does. Like it does kind of have that. And we have a school coming up the first Saturday in October in Morristown, Tennessee. We call them a clinic. It's where we talk about the different roles and the way Cowboy Church model it is kind of that we follow is, and we have a lot of new churches that come along, and they'll be there. There'll be a lot of people, and the reason why we keep doing these is because in our churches we keep getting new people, and if you come from outside, you don't understand why we do things like we do, like not taking up an offering, but it's all meant to take away the barriers. And even the music, the reason why we don't just do old hymn music is because the guy that we're trying to reach, he rides down the truck every day listening to country music. So if we could replace the words with something spiritual and still yet out the music that would go along with it, country style.
I love country music. I love everything, but I really like it.
It will appeal to that guy that maybe is lost and doesn't think he fits in any other church. But when he comes to Cowboy Church, I've had him tell me that numerous times. Man, I found the church where I belong. I've had them. I'm no telling how many guys and middle-aged guys have come and said, "Man, I found my church. I didn't know there was a church
That's
like
the way
that."
I feel that way.
Yeah.
Exactly the same way.
And I love it. It tells me that we're doing what God's called us to do, and it seems to be working because we're growing all over the country, and what a blessing to see what's happening with some of our Cowboy Church movement going further into Montana, going further west beyond Utah, and New Mexico is kind of where our last fertile ground has been found, and North Carolina, and now we're coming across to Kentucky, and we've affiliated with a church there that a guy named Jeff Duncan pastors. I'm looking forward to the clinic because I know those guys from Kentucky and North Carolina will likely come to East Tennessee to that. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I'll get to be there. And when we finish that day, I'll hurry back home because Jacob's riding in the 4-hymn finals that night at the Alabama A&M Ag Center. And he's sitting in first place. I think he's ahead about 7 points. All he's got to do is get him rode, and I think the buckle will be his for the year. So I'm pretty excited for him. We talk about it every day. He wanted to draw a saddle bronc, and I talked him out of it because I said, "Son, you're right here on the threshold of winning the buckle in the junior bull riding." I said, "What if you got on that saddle bronc and broke your whole arm?" And he thought about it, and he said, "Well, that's right. Maybe I'll do it next year." I said, "Well, I think next year would be better. I'd hate for you to be right on the." And there's probably a sermon in that. I just hadn't put it together yet, but I think there's a sermon in that kind of being focused on where God's leading us. And I'm thankful he is, because it's not as easy for him. He's 6 foot and 1 inch tall, and he's 14 years old, and his legs go too far down. He wears his jeans are a 38 inseam.
Oh, goodness.
He's all legs, so his legs, for him to get hooked, he has to go all the way under their bed. So it's not as easy for him as it is somebody.
So what if he broke them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I got tickled at him because at the practice, I mean, he hadn't bucked off of one in probably the last 10 or 11 that he's been able to ride. And I say that thinking, man, you just got to ride one more. So I'm excited for him and several of our kids. I mean, we have a lot of kids that participate. If you had never been to a For Him, you've never seen the like of people that show up, and it starts at 10 o'clock and lasts till midnight. I mean, it is an all day.
They got the adrenaline going all day long.
And it's for all age groups, from little bitty kids to, and it's everything from sheep riding to barrel racing and pole bending and team rope. Everything is included in it. So it's a good thing. And
what about its outdoor activities? Because so many kids are inside, and it's not healthy for a kid to be inside all the time. You got to be outside.
That's
and I'm
right.
the happiest. Phillip has been to our house, and it's pretty obvious that I'd rather be outside than inside, because the outside of the house with flowers and stuff all over the place, and then the inside looks like a tornado has been through it.
Well, I don't know about that.
So,
but
there's just something healthy about being outside, and I'm glad that that's available for the kids.
Oh, it is. It's great, and when we do things, like I'm thinking, I didn't have to ask my boys to come help me in the hayfield this afternoon. They just told me, said, "Dad, what time do we need to be there?" And I told them, I said, "I'll meet you such and such place with a trailer, and I'll be there." And they were raised hauling hay. They were hauling hay when they were too little to haul hay, but they could push it off, and I could stack it. So, I mean, I think you kind of deprive a kid if you keep him from ever knowing what it's like to haul square bales of hay. It's a great motivation for college. I think it's a great motivation to go on and get some education. Not that everybody has to do it, but they need to know what it's like. The one thing that they've missed out on that I didn't miss out on is picking cotton. I wish they knew what it was like to pick cotton.
I've never done cotton.
Well, it's the most humiliating thing in the world, because
you can hurt your fingers too with those little thorns.
But there'd be some little lady about 80 years old that weighs about 90 pounds, and she would have twice as much cotton as you would have, and you'd be 14 years old and focused, and it looked like she was talking to everybody in the field, and you were working hard as you could. They go weigh the sacks up, and yours would have half what hers had in it. So it could be, I'll never forget that. I'm thinking, how's that possible? She talks to everybody. I'm focused on picking cotton.
It's the years of experience.
Oh, she made it fun too. I mean, she made it fun for her. For me, it was hard work, and I didn't like it. That's why I spent my whole working career in the poultry business. That's what saved me from the cotton patch. So why not?
I call them about chickens too.
Yeah. I love
That's why you had a hen. She just didn't want to come out of the broody mood. I mean, she's just moody as everything, and yell and scream at you and everything else. And I asked you, I said, how long are they going to do this? And he didn't say this. He said it without saying this. It was almost this answer. Like a regular woman, just whenever she decides she wants to. But he didn't say it. But I kind of figured that's what you meant.
Well,
she finally
different.
came out of it.
Yeah, they're different. Their hormones are different, and everything triggers it. Like the thing that affects it the most is lighting, daylight, lengthening daylight hours, or if you're going toward the fall,
the heat,
the backing up the heat. I mean, all of those things affect it, but it makes me a little grouchy sometimes.
Well, it does me too if I can't go outside like decent weather. But I mean, I wanted to mention this. This is something else you guys do, and so you offer workshops and events and that kind of things for everybody, including women. Pastors' wives really need it, because I think the hardest job on earth would be a minister's wife.
It is, and a lot of our ladies have been, or a lot of our churches are doing conferences this time of year, and we have them posted in our church, and most of them are on our church Facebook page, and on every church Facebook page. There's one coming up at Thousand Hills up in Etheridge, Tennessee. There's one that they have. The Lookout Mountain ladies already had theirs, and then there's one at Cross Halo Cowboy Church in Cleveland, Alabama. And then I think there's one more that I can't remember. But if you know where there's a Cowboy church, you can look their Facebook page up.
This is always loaded with info.
And they have all those events on it, and it's a good thing for ladies to get involved in that. We don't exclude ladies from leadership in Cowboy churches. Some of our best team leaders are ladies. All of our youth and children's ministry teams are led by ladies, and they do a great job. What a blessing they are to our church. I get to reap a lot of the benefits of it because I just show up and have fun with them.
I saw you with that candy bag.
Yeah.
I almost reached out and got a piece myself.
Well, I love the thing is, and I told this, that people have asked me, so why are you wasting your time with them little kids? I'm saying I'm investing my time in those kids. When I got to lead 21 of them to the Lord right before school started, it didn't just start then. It started way back when I started getting, and there's those little ones, and they're from about 4 to about 8. They all call me Uncle Brother Phillip, and I love it. On Wednesday night, you'll hear them say, "Where's my candy, Uncle Brother Phillip?" I love it when they do that. It tickles me to death. It started with Michael Miller's little girl. We call her Oakley. Her name's Oakland, but we call her Okie, and she is precious, and she's the one that started it. She comes from a large family, and she has a lot of uncles, and she just assumed that Brother Phillip was another one of her uncles. So that's how it got started, but I love it. I love it when they do that, and I never miss a Wednesday night unless I have to be gone somewhere. When I'm at home, I'm at church on Wednesday night because I'm investing in those kids. When we play when our little school plays football, I've done the invocation for every home game this year, and I'm there because we got girls that are cheerleaders. I was at the volleyball game last Friday afternoon. We got 4 of our girls that play volleyball, and I'm there encouraging them, and I'm investing in their life, and I want them to feel like they can talk to me about their spiritual life, or if something's bothering them, I want them to feel like they can talk to me. Now, obviously, if there was something major happening to them, I would not tell their parents. I would include them in it. But I want those kids to know that they're loved when they come to our church. And first and foremost, I want them to know that I love them, because I hardly ever meet a kid. If I view it as a real challenge when a kid just kind of puts up a wall between me and them, I will not give up. I won't give up until.
There's different reasons they do that, but I wanted to mention this. This reminds me, and kids never forget, ever.
No.
I'm a 65-year-old kid right now, and I never forget, we called him Uncle Johnny Denson. Mm-hmm. And he went to the church we went to. Not a good home life we grew up in. And so I used to bite my fingernails, and I would bite them to the nubs. I mean, they would actually be bleeding, and he noticed that. And so he walked up to me one day, and Uncle Johnny Benson said, "Do you see my fingers?" He had about 3 fingers missing, like this. He said, "Do you see my fingers?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And I tell you, I believed everything that man said.
Yeah.
He said, "Do you know how that happened?" And I said, "No, sir." He said, "I used to bite my fingers." That's all he said. I never bit my nails again. And then later my granddad said, my granddad said, "When you were a little girl, you used to bite your fingernails all the time, and you quit. What did your parents put, they put something in your fingers?" And I said, "No, Uncle Johnny Denson told me that the reason he didn't have those fingernails is he bit his finger by biting his fingernails. And he said that happened in a cotton mill.
Yeah.
I was 25 years old before I knew that.
Yeah. Well, those are lessons and memories you'll never forget.
And I would look so forward to seeing him every Sunday.
Yeah.
He would be that smile that I'd see.
Yeah.
And it was a constant.
And there's a bunch of them around our church, a bunch of those kind of folks, and I'm thankful for every one of them because that enables us to do what we do, and you can't hardly do church without that. And I love the fact that you hear that sound in our church. You hear, and I always tell them, we had some people with some new babies there Sunday, and they sat right in front of you, and that's why I carried them the candy, and I want them to know that.
It didn't bother us.
I'd already told them, I said, look, if they get fretful, we don't think nothing about it here. It's not going to bother me. Don't you think that a kid whining or being fretful or getting tired, they will never bother me.
New energy in the church.
It is a sound I've grown to love in the church. Because if you walk in a church that doesn't have any of those sounds, that church might be in trouble. So that is why I love that sound. I love the sound of little babies, and I get so tickled at Leon's little granddaughter because she sings the whole time.
Yeah.
She wants to. You should see her on one of those Friday nights. She'll sing and sing and sing, and she thinks she's supposed to go up there because she sits in his lap and sings, and she thinks that's where she's supposed to be. So. It wouldn't bother me if she went up there. She does that on those Friday night jam sessions, and she's adorable. She's a cute little girl. She's one that I'm having to really work at to be friends with because I don't see her quite enough. So I'm having to really work. Now, I've given her toys, and I've given her candy. I've given her everything. But I've still got more.
It'll work.
She'll
I
come.
promise you it'll work. Let's go into a commercial break.
All right.
And we're going to be right back in just a few minutes. So you hang in there, okay?
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of the Cobb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers.
I'm excited to announce my all-new mattress topper. In the times we're in, I wanted to bring you the best affordable mattress topper ever. So I took my two best technologies and combined them to make the ultimate mattress topper. And now you can get it for as low as $69.98. Queen size only $99.98. It all starts with my famous MyPillow foam that provides you that overall full body support. Second is the individual comfort supports that give you an amazing custom sleep experience. It's like it's made specifically for you. The queen size alone has over 14,000 comfort supports. This is the perfect mattress topper to improve any bed. New bed, old bed, your guest beds. Get them for every bedroom in your house. Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get the all-new My Mattress Topper for as low as $69.98. Queen size only $99.98. Don't delay. Order today.
Okay, we're back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central Time. You know, folks listen to us all over the place. Yeah. Somebody got in contact with me, and I think I told you about it. It's been a few years ago, a couple of years ago, because you've been on the show a long time.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if it was Texas, Oklahoma, somewhere, and they were watching it on Roku.
Yeah.
And so she watched the show and she sent me a message that they had a Cowboy church. I've got to find that. I think I saved that message.
Yeah.
And she just said she was glad to see that.
Oh, good.
She was glad to see you on the show. And but I think maybe 3 years ago or something like that.
We do have a lot of churches in Texas and Oklahoma, especially Texas. And I've got to know so many of those guys because I've been doing this now for, 14 years, 15 years. 15 years now I've been doing this, and I've really learned and met so many good people, and there's so many of our churches in Texas. Of course, that's where it started at, and it started in about the year 2000, and those guys had a vision for Cowboy Church, and they thought, and it's true that on a lot of the big ranches like Tongue River and the 4 Sixes or any of those, Pitchfork Ranch, Bell Ranch, they're all big outfits. And they work 7 days a week. And they had this idea, these guys never have an opportunity to go to church. If we could get permission to go there and just do a meal one night, it doesn't matter which night it is, if we could go there.
Be there Sunday.
Yeah, and then and they started that, but then it just blew up into all these cowboy churches. And I mean, when you think in 24 years where they started, and there's 300 and something of them that are just affiliated with us now. So, I mean, that's a pretty big deal. That's got one of those God things. But he really blessed it, and I think it was because of the heart that those guys had. They were all educated men. These guys all were pastors, and some of them had worked for the BGCT, which is the Baptist General Convention of Texas, and they pooled their thoughts and came together with this ideal of reaching lost cowboys with the gospel. But then it outgrew that. So, we have every good old boy in the world, from bass fishermen to deer hunters
beekeepers,
and sometimes just people that like to watch Western movies, or so they come to Cowboy Church because they've figured out that it's a safe place, and you don't have a lot of barriers, and nobody pressures you to do or join or be part. We invite people to, but we don't come calling on them the day after they showed up in church on Sunday. I don't show up in anybody's house saying, "Hey man, we'd like to get you plugged in." We don't do that. We let people find their way. If there's a place or a team they want to serve on, we let them find their way and be led by the Spirit to do that, not just jump out and start beating them over the head. Well, we need this and we need that. Somebody was telling me not long ago, and it wasn't in one of the Alabama churches, it was in another state, but they were telling me that they had went to a place and moved and relocated to a place, and somebody came from their church and they went and visited 2 or 3 times, and all of a sudden they said the church was pretty full, and they started wanting them to pledge so much money and sign a card for how much they'd give over the next year, and they said, man, that just didn't sit right with us. We're fairly new, and then I had a guy yesterday call me about a church, and he had only been in there a couple of years, but he is a doctor, and he moved and relocated down here, and he was telling me how much he liked the Cowboy Church, because he said it suits me, and he said there's not. He said not 3 people in the whole church even know I'm a doctor, and he said I like it that way, because he said I don't want them to look at me differently, and he said I love going and just being myself. Uh, so it was a great conversation, but he had some questions about how we do things and why we do them the way we do it, and I enjoyed talking to him. It was great.
I love going, but I've got another reason. It's a medical reason, and I have asthma. Of course, I have it under control with God's ginger root.
Yeah.
Since I started doing that, I'm not near as bad as I used to be. But when I would go to church, I never knew when it was going to act. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just start coughing, hacking my head off. And I don't know if you remember some of the older shows where I would have to throw us into a commercial break at weird times, you know. But I know that I can go there, and people aren't, like, I'm not going to make a ruckus. Of course, we sit in the back just in case.
but still, it's not so quiet that where it's noticed. Yeah, people, because we're not quiet. It doesn't bother me if somebody gets up and goes and refills their coffee cup halfway through the sermon. That does not bother me. I like the relaxed atmosphere, and I think the Lord works in it, because it seems to have worked pretty well.
But that's the way church used to be a long time ago. I remember going to Poplar Springs, which is in Albertville, kind of between Albertville and Geraldine in my area. And my grandparents went to that church, and it was like that.
Yeah.
It was very relaxed. You didn't feel cramped, like I might sneeze, and the whole church is going to look at me if I sneeze.
Well, I think that's just kind of how Cowboy Church is. And this is a time of the year when we're all really busy right now. We got lots of events and rodeos.
Some craft events coming up.
Yeah, there's a lot of things on the calendars. And I just glanced at mine before I came in here, because we have the last weekend in October is the fall gathering down at Cedar Creek, and a lot of our churches will come, and it's this year it'll be a 1-day thing, and we'll have a worship service, and then we'll just do fun stuff the rest of the day in fellowship. And we'll have a fun kind of ranch rodeo, and several people have called me about it, because it's not a real competitive thing, because we part of the rule for that is you have to have one kid 16 or under on the team, and you have to have a lady on the team. So, to make it more of a inclusive with and make it more fun. So we think we'll probably have 15 teams like that, and it'll be a fun time. It'll be a fun time.
I first heard of Cowboy Church through a brother-in-law. And I thought, how fitting for him, because he was Terry. He was always going to rodeos, had who knows. He was always winning everything. So he was very in competitions a lot. And he would be in one part of the United States to the other part in one day. I mean, that's why he would travel all the time. And so I know my mother-in-law would ask him, well, son, you going to go to church this weekend? He'd say, well, mother, where am I going to go to church at?
Yeah.
He'd say, because I've got this going on and all this kind of stuff. And when I found out he was going to Cowboy Church, I thought, man, this is perfect for him.
Oh, it was. And it really helped us because he knew everybody. He knew everybody.
He sure does.
And we traveled a lot together. I've told you, the first time we ever rode together, I was 14 and he was 17.
Mm-hmm.
And we have literally been all over the country together. But, man, I missed that guy so bad. Here lately, I've thought about him. And I'll tell you what brought it on. We had a young guy that died, and he was somebody that Terry coached in the practice pen. And I told his dad, I went to that funeral last Thursday. He was a super good kid. I mean, just an awesome little boy. And now he grew up, and I hadn't been around him the last few years, but when he was a little boy, I just loved watching him and listening to Terry, because I could still hear Terry calling out to him. He's so little, so young, that he didn't have quite the arm strength to throw the rope, and I could hear Terry calling out to him, "Throw hard, Cody, throw hard." And I ever since that, his funeral was last Thursday, and I thought nothing of it. I've heard Terry call that out to him 100 times, and it was such a blessing. Because he did a lot. Terry did a lot to help Cowboy Church. We went multiple times to the Cowboy Church of Marion County, and Leon did the music, and I preached, and Terry just went along for the entertainment. And we'd stay out. We'd be midnight coming home, because we'd always stop and eat on the way home, and we just had a blast. We had the best time. And but Terry's last few years, he died suddenly of a heart attack, and we worked cattle the day before he had the heart attack. But he had found his niche in life in helping Cowboy churches, and I'm so thankful for that. It was the hardest funeral I've ever done, and it was also one of the biggest funerals. There was people came from everywhere to that funeral, and some of them I still keep in contact with, and I didn't know him as well as he did, but he was a very good horseman. He was good with a rope. He could do a lot of things, and he was just fun.
How many awards did he have? He had hundreds, didn't he?
Well, over the years he did, and I carried De Niro, which was the paint horse that he thought so much of. I carried him home and kept him till we had to put him down, and I probably have told that story, but I wouldn't ride De Niro. He was great. I was still competing a little bit, and I could have rode him and have ridden him before. But after Terry passed away, I wouldn't ride him. I just wouldn't do it, and because he was Terry's horse, I just said I'm not going to do it. And the first time we went to the practice pen, and I left him at home, my wife was waiting on me when I got home. She said, because I noticed he ran down the driveway in the paddock and ran to the corner that we turned down the street on, and watched me go out of sight. And when I got home, my wife would do. Yes, my wife said, "Don't you ever do that to him again. If you can't take him, you just don't go." And I took her up on that. I'd take him, load him, and take him, and he didn't have to do anything. but I would load him and take him. Well, I was judging a rodeo over in near Florence one night, and they called me and said, "We don't have a horse to carry the flag in on." And I said, "It's okay, I'll bring him one." And I carried this lady, De Niro, over there, and she went in and rode and carried the flag. And I've got a picture of that. Man, that thrilled my, now he loved it. The horse loved that. He loved his being in, that was his element. That was his element. That arena was his element. And it just looked like that horse was smiling to me. And he was tickled, and it thrilled me to get. And that lady told me numerous times, "I can't thank you enough for letting me ride that horse." I said, "Well, he wasn't my horse, but I'm taking care of him. I'm taking care of him," and I did. And I love taking care of him, feeding him. He was such a pleasure to be around.
There's something about animals that give you comfort.
Yes.
I always had a dog, cat. I always had animals growing up, and there's their comfort. But Shepherd's Cove Hospice, they use horses, and they have an event every year for kids. And this event is huge, and kids who have never even seen a horse before, it's they gravitate toward the horse, and the horse is so gentle.
Well, and especially special needs kids, and we have an event coming up. It's on November the 1st. It's at our church, and there's a group out of Scottsboro coming to our church with a whole group of these special need kids, and we're taking I'll take a couple of horses there, and then we have Jonathan Young's bringing his wagon, and he's got a team of horses that pull a wagon. Some of them can't get on a horse, but they can get in the wagon, and we're going to ride them around all over the property there. So I'm looking forward to that. That is one of those things that will always get you. I don't care how tough a hide you got, that will get you. It will really humble you when you start seeing some of those kids and how they respond to those horses,
and the way the horses respond to them.
Yeah, it's like there's something that
they got a connection.
There he is. One of the great things I've done. I've told this story 100 times, I guess, but it always makes my heart smile. We were recording this show in Scottsboro, and I was about to walk in. I get a phone call from this lady, and she said, "I've got 3 kids that are not mine. I'm taking care of them. Their mother's in prison." And she said, "We've offered to take them to the aquarium in Chattanooga. We've offered to take them to the zoo in Birmingham. And all 3 of them, all they want to do is ride a horse." And we had a fun day planned that Saturday. And I said, "Can you bring them?" And she said, "Yeah." So me and the boys, and I made my boys help me. They're not hard to make. All you got to do is just say, "I need a little help," and
they're in it.
So I let them brush the horses, help me load them, and we carried them over there and saddled them. We cleaned out their closets, and all the hats and boots that they had outgrown, we outfitted those kids with, and led them around for 2.5 hours. I let the boys lead them. And you should have seen the smiles. I've still got pictures of it, and I've thought over and over and over, that there's opportunities for great blessings, and it's not something that you get with a great amount of money or buying something really nice like a Bobby Ledbetter vehicle, but it comes from something in your heart when you can do something for somebody a kid that really needs some encouragement, and you have an opportunity to be that encouragement. I don't think I'll ever forget that. I'll never forget those kids and the smiles that was on their face. And they hadn't had a lot to smile about, but boy, they were smiling that day.
Well, I have to tell you something else. This is the business world. So we were having a ribbon cutting for the show, and it was at a radio station I was renting space from. And so the Chamber of Commerce got to see what the Cowboy Church was all about. And I'm an ambitious kind of a person. And so the lady from the Chamber of Commerce told Phil, now I know Donna's expecting a big thing.
Yeah.
She'll do good to have 10 people show up for this ribbon cutting.
Yeah.
Well, you guys were there with the chuck wagon.
Yeah.
And over 400 people, more than 400 people, showed up for that event. And I remember the ladies and I didn't say anything to them, but one of the ladies from the Chamber of Commerce said, we've never had a ribbon cutting like this. There were people all over the place.
Yeah, at all these events, we have chuck wagons, and about everything we do, we'll have a chuck wagon. And the most thing I have to do is either call Curtis or J.W. Yarber or one of those guys. I can call them and say, all they ask me is, how many wagons do you want? We have this clinic that's coming up in Morristown, Tennessee. We had it in July in Texas.
That's hot. Texas in July.
They told me they asked some chuck wagons out there to do it, and they told them it's just too hot. And so 2 of our chuck wagons from Alabama went out there and cooked.
No doubt. You know, another thing, Curtis loves doing this. So another thing he was instrumental with is when they had the floods in Kentucky.
Yes, yes.
And that's all that was on his mind, was to hurry up and get out to Kentucky and get the chuck wagons out there and feed folks. And then we had this terrible tornadoes that came through the northern part of DeKalb County. That worried him to death.
Oh, yeah. He was set up the next day after that. And he has his own ministry for that, 7C ministry. And the AFCC has contributed to that because it is a way for us to invest in communities that really need a help too. So I'm thankful that we do that, and I'm thankful for what the Lord lets Curtis do with that, because there's been times when there was snow on the ground in Mayfield, Kentucky, and he was up there cooking after that tornado pretty much wiped out Mayfield, Kentucky. And they stayed up there with snow on the ground and cooked and fed people.
You know, also during COVID, you guys were very instrumental in this. And Bobby Ledbetter with Twin City Used Car Sales. We've talked about this before, but I want to mention it again, because every time we talk about it, people start sending me messages about that.
Yeah.
And so it started out in Fort Payne.
That's
And
right.
he had, I think he said about 1,200 people who showed up. And Bobby wants to feed the world, you know, and didn't charge anybody anything. He just wanted to do it. And during COVID, a lot of folks were losing their jobs, or they were getting less time at work, that kind of thing. So he just wanted to help. And then he called me, and I tricked him, by the way. He said he didn't want to be on the air.
Yeah.
I tricked him. But anyway, he did an awesome job because he has the heart for it. So it was easy for him to talk about it.
He was so involved in it personally. He didn't just send some money. He was there and
handing out, wanted to make sure. And if they didn't have enough, he was paying to, Miles Smith was involved with this, at the Cowboy Big Steakhouse. And so Bobby would say, here's some money. Go get some more, because look, more people are coming in. So it's just
it was amazing. That was one of those things that I'll never forget. That it changed the life of people like us that were just there to help and be a small part of it. But man, it was. It's like I told my kids who were at Rangeville when we ended up back at Rangeville to give that out right before, was it Thanksgiving or Christmas?
It was Thanksgiving.
Okay, Thanksgiving. We were giving out that food before Thanksgiving, and I told them, I said, you'll see some cars come through here, not many, but there'll be a few cars come through here that the people may be living out of their car. And until you've handed folks food in a car that is Dublin as their home, you really don't know how blessed you are. And I guess that's the one takeaway from that, is we're blessed to get to do it, because we figured it up. It was 40-something thousand people in 5 counties over about a year and a half that we fed with the help of Miles Smith and Bobby Ledbetter, because they did front the money for it. We've fronted a lot of the labor, but they made it possible.
Not only that, but it was just, it's just getting the community together, to help.
At the time, our Secretary of State was John Merrill. He was at every one of them. Mr. Tom, he had I've still got pictures of him that he made with the kids who were helping give out
Mhm.
food, and
And I want people to think about that. We've got an election coming up, and in the future, think about people who've helped your community.
yes,
Yeah, and he's one of them, Tommy Haynes.
Tommy Haynes, I remember seeing him sweat just pouring off of him. He was working so hard, and I don't live in his district, but
He was
I'm telling you,
outside of his district, though.
but
That
he
didn't
was
benefit
working.
him
No, he
politically.
came to the counties that wasn't even in his district because he was doing it not for his personal self. He was doing it for the people we were trying to serve.
Hmm.
So
That's who you want to vote for.
that's right. The guys like that, I won't forget. I
Mhm.
won't forget.
Mhm. But yeah, John Merrill was tickled to death. So what happened is I told him that we were going to be in Scottsboro, and I told him what happened in Fort Payne. And I said, if you can come, I know you're busy, and he's Alabama Secretary of State. And I said, but if you can come, well, he did.
Oh yeah,
He was hooked.
yeah. He didn't miss another one. Didn't miss one. And what a blessing it was to have him because he was. It was a good thing. It helped us.
And not once did I hear him say, vote for me.
No,
He
it
didn't
wasn't
even
about
do
that. No, it wasn't about that.
So all the people who were helping, all the team members, everybody, that's what they
Yeah.
were there for.
That's right. That's
Boy,
right.
remember the one we had in, that was the hottest one, the one right here, I think,
Oh yeah,
at
yeah.
the Gadsden Mall with Kaylee.
Yeah.
Well, Kaylee wasn't there then. She was working there, but she wasn't involved with it then. But I'm going to tell you what, it was 200 degrees outside
Oh,
in the shade in that day. That was over 2,000 people just there
yeah.
at that one. But it was a good time. We got about 3 minutes left in this segment. What would you like to tell? Oh, there's a word you mentioned,
Oh, yeah.
Sunday. Let's talk about that word.
Oh,
We got time.
Jettison.
I like it.
That's in one of the translations of that I have, and jettison is a word that means to throw overboard out of a ship or out of an airplane or cargo that you discard. And it really began to speak to me because I'm thinking most all of us carry around some
Which was
baggage.
speaking to me. So
We carry around baggage of things that we ought to let go. Whether that be something somebody said or somebody done something to us, and who that hurts when you can't let it go is yourself. It hurts the person, but when you can let it go and get rid of it, you have jettisoned the distraction and the hurt, the heartache that comes to you by it. So I think I was tickled I ran upon that word, and I've thought about it for a couple of weeks now. I'm probably going to preach on it again tomorrow a little bit, but there's a lot of things in our life that we need to let go of and let God have, and quit trying to fix things that wasn't meant for us to fix. That's right.
I'm just not equipped. I can't do it. I don't know
Yeah.
what to do.
Yeah, that's right.
And if I do it Donna's way, it's not going to be the right
Well,
way.
it's like we always say, if I do what I want to do, somebody will have to come get me out of jail probably, but
Probably.
don't need to do that either.
But thank you for being such a guidance, and thank you for that. Because every time there's always many things, but now it's all I can think of is jettison.
Yeah.
Jettison.
Let it go. Let it go.
Let it go. And it would, because I love airplanes. So you
Yeah.
really got me when you said cargo, when you said
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That really got me. But thank you so much for doing that. And thank you for watching.
Yes.
You're the reason we do this every single day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. You can find us on the radio at icradio.media. You can also find us on television, channel 182 Charter. You can also find us on syndicated Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. By the way, the guy who owns that station, Rob Patz, today's his
Yeah.
birthday.
Oh my goodness!
So
Happy birthday, Rob.
Definitely deserve a good congratulations. You can also find us on our podcast on thenewscasters.com. So make sure you check that out as well, the Newscasters Studio. But check it out. You can go ahead and download the app, and you'll be able to pull up some folks. I'm a much better talk show host than I am, and these people really definitely speak the truth. And also special thanks to Bobby Ledbetter with Twin City Used Car Sales. Right here in Gadsden, Alabama, you'll be glad you did. Phil loves his truck, by the way.
Oh,
Have you
yeah.
seen the truck?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, he loves this truck, and he always said it had to be a one cab. He didn't want the two cab,
Yeah.
because he wanted a longer bed. And so I told Bobby, I said, "Do they even make trucks like that anymore?"
Oh,
And
yeah.
he said, "Well, they're hard to find. Is the
Yeah.
problem." So anyway, Phil actually loves his truck, so you check it
Yeah.
out. But again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later.